This is sort of fascinating. I can't tell exactly what Ben Shapiro is trying to say here. Here he is on the BS show, the Ben Shapiro show. Here he is doing his best to become the heir to Rush Limbaugh, the dead Rush.
If you have a few things that you can expect as a citizen of the United States. One should be you can expect a certain level of safety and security in your community, not just from cops who are supposedly the deep abiding threats to your community, which is a lie, but you should be able to expect that your community is not going to go up in flames. You ought to be able to expect that every time there's a criminal trial or a shooting without any evidence, by the way, because we've seen riots and looting after incidents that don't even end with a trial because it turns out that the shoot was good. We all know how this is going to go. The fact that we expect this is, number one, the soft bigotry of low expectations for Black Lives Matter protesters / rioters, and number two, part of a full-scale belief by the left that this is just the armed insurrectionist wing of a broader movement that ought to lay low America's institutions and ideologies. But these people are just a little too passionate. They're not bad. They're not truly bad. They're just passionate. They're not doing anything that's truly wrong. They're just raging out of control because, after all, this rage is justified.
All right, pause it for one second.
If you're talking about...
Let's just be clear here. There is not riots and there is not protests after every case. There's certainly not riots and protests after every police shooting. I love the way that he's sort of adopting like good shooting now. Like, you know, he's getting Buffy, right? Like this is his way of like being like, I'm savvy about, you know, the way the police interact with it's good shooting and bad shooting. And this idea that you should expect, you should expect your community to be free and safe of these things. Well, the problems arise when people living in other communities or these same communities can't expect to be safe and secure from police harassment, from or to have whatever. I mean, a whole array of things: clean drinking water, or public housing, or, you know, streets that are actually cared for in the same way they are across town, or whatever it is. That's what's happening here. The expectations of a huge percentage of our population are not being met, and rightfully so. They are reacting with like, hey, you know what? There's a disparity here. There's a disparity in the way that our relationship is with the cops. That's why these things are happening. And he's just making it like it's willy-nilly, completely irrational.
A good shoot. Did you hear that?
That's what I'm saying. The good shoot, that is the term that the cops use when
he's so tough.
That's exactly my point. He's trying to be like, listen, I was riding shotgun when we were doing the,
that one was a good shoot, man.
That was a good shoot. That was a good shoot, as opposed to a bad shoot when you're not supposed to be doing it. Right. He just watched some, like the police guy on Fox, say good shoot. And that was basically it.
He's trying to tread on Dan Bongino's territory.
Exactly. I know.
Because they're competitors for like the one in.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gotta build up his cop bona fides.
Exactly.
Which one is it? You say bona fides, and I don't know.
I think it's probably both. Is there any more of that?
Out of control, because after all, this rage is justified.
Is that?
If you're talking about the danger to the systems of the United States, I'm, again, not talking about the dangers of racism, because most of these situations, in fact, I'm hard-pressed to think of a situation in the past few years that has resulted in riots and looting that eventually ended up being chalked up to actual racism. Usually it's police misconduct, police brutality, police accident, or police doing the right thing, and it ends with rioting and looting. But the systems that people wish to tear down are systems of due process of law, systems of individual justice, and systems of private property. These are systems that BLM explicitly opposes in many cases.
So, just FYI, if you weren't aware of this, none of those police shootings or brutality or miscarriages of justice were a function of racism. It's just a coincidence. It's just
racism in police departments. The FBI is making up that. They're not organizing white supremacy for years. That's BLM taking over the FBI.
Also, according to the New York Times gun violence database, since Derek Chauvin's trial began on March 29th, U.S. police have killed more than 3 people a day. So, Ben Shapiro, what happened? There should be a rioting and looting sesh after every one of those. Doesn't seem to be the case. If it's all manufactured, like he's saying.
There's a New York Times piece right now. In city after city, police mishandle Black Lives Matter protests. Insufficient training, militarized responses, a widespread failure of policing nationwide. It's just they're attacking our way of life.
It's just a coincidence. Every incident is isolated and in its own little bubble.